Welcome to the Breakthrough and Bloom podcast. My name is Kelsey Marks, and I am your host and your Breakthrough BFF. I intend to be an open channel to allow insights to flow in that help you break through to the next level of who you were always meant to be. With these conversations, we're going to shift some perspectives, okay? And we're going to give you a new way to live the life that you live, allowing the opportunity to truly manifest what it is that you desire. So if you're looking to break through to the next level of who you are, to live the life of your dreams, and to gain a deeper understanding of spiritual topics, well, you have come to the right place. And I know we're going to have so much fun together, and I am beyond excited to have these conversations with you. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Hello, friends. How is it going? Welcome back to another episode here at Breakthrough and Bloom. I am excited for today's episode, which was yet another morning time epiphany that I had. I'm telling you guys, if you don't already do this, you need to start doing this. You need to start setting an intention before you go to bed and asking for assistance from your guides on what you want to accomplish in your dream state. Because listen, when we go to bed, it's not like nothing happens, okay? What happens is our spirit, our essence, the source spark that is within this human form goes back into the other realms, goes back to the astral planes, go back to the higher dimensions and does stuff, because essentially who we are at our core is energy, and energy doesn't sleep. So that's why, we don't remember a lot of it, and it's so quick. It's a blip, because when we're on Earth, there's that veil of forgetting. So basically when we sleep, we leave Earth again and then we come back. We don't leave the body behind and forget about it and stuff. We're tethered to it. It's fine. It's safe. Okay. But we're doing stuff in our dream state. And what better way to get more accomplished spiritually than to do it in your dream state, right? You're not consciously aware that you're doing it, but you can raise your vibration and clear things out that way. And I think, hey, if the universe wants to give us one easier way of doing something, let's do it, right? And I think doing this intention setting of either clearing something, learning something, experience something, integrating something, downloading something, doing it in your dreamtime state, I think is just kind of a little cheat code, and it's amazing, and everyone should be doing this. The key though is to have a notebook right next to your bed or somewhere very close where you can get it immediately upon waking up. So you can write down whatever comes to mind as soon as you wake up, because the stuff that gets downloaded, the stuff that you're integrating, the stuff that you're learning, the stuff that you're releasing, the things that are getting revealed from your subconscious mind, all of that stuff that's happening to your energy field, to your psyche overnight, through this method of dream state work, basically, it's almost as fleeting as a dream, okay? And if you don't write it down, I'm telling you, it's probably going to slip by and fly away from you, and you might miss something, especially if you're asking for guidance on next steps, or what you should be doing, or to get inspiration, or to get an answer or something. You definitely want to write down whatever comes to mind, because even as you start, you're probably going to find yourself doing stream of consciousness writing, and writing more down than what you had initially thought of anyways. And that's really, really going to help you. And honestly, all you need to start doing this, it's so simple. And it's just intention. It's just setting it out there, right? It's going fishing. It's you putting out the line, basically. So when you're laying in bed, right before you fall asleep, just mentally, if you want to, you can do it out loud. If you want to, just go ahead and call in your guides, call in your team, call in, friends and loved ones who have passed, of love and light and of the highest and greatest good. And if you want, I do this as well. You can call in other higher dimensional beings of love and light as well that are willing to assist you with whatever that you're looking for. So some nights I'm help me release the anger from my sacral chakra. Or some nights it's help me receive guidance on my next steps with my business, or what I should be focusing on now in my business, or help me download podcast topic ideas, like whatever you want. And then just like try to pay attention to your dreams. So if you're not someone who's like an avid dreamer, like you can set the intention too to like help me remember my dreams so I can get a message, right? Like just put it out there, like ask, like what's the worst that's going to happen? Nothing? Like, okay, cool. What's the best that's going to happen? You have an amazing, wild astral travel dream that you remember as clearly as you do as if you're awake. Like those are fucking cool. So I'm just saying, it's either nothing happens, nothing changes, or you have really cool experiences. I don't know. Sounds like a win-win to me. Just, so set these intentions, try to pay attention to your dreams. They're going to tell you a theme of what it is that was being worked on, especially if you asked for something for like help releasing anger, sadness, pain, trauma, whatever, or help with clarity on something. Like pay attention to the dreams and not so much like, oh, this exact thing happened, so like this is how it's going to happen in real life. Unless you've like, you dream like that, and it's happened before where it's like very specific things in your dream come to fruition later, like don't pay attention to that so much, because again, the subconscious mind speaks more in like riddles and metaphors and stuff, and the dream is coming from the subconscious mind. So look at it more as a theme of like, okay, what was it showing? What was like the emotion behind it? What feels familiar about it that I could place somewhere else in my life that has happened? So like when I worked on the anger, because I did do this, I asked to release anger. I had dreams of me just like absolutely like bawling my eyes out. I couldn't remember exactly what, because of course I didn't write it down. So no one's perfect, but you should write them down. I didn't write it down, but from what I do remember, it had a very like high school timeline vibe for me. From what I remember was a lot of people from high school that I went with that were there. It was like this kind of, it wasn't like a party. It was like this restaurant that just had like an obscene amount of tables and just like a lot of people from high school. And then I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember at some point I ended up like bawling my eyes out in the dream. And this makes sense for me because I know that there is a lot that needs to be addressed and released from that time period in my life, which I heavily dissociated during. So there's a lot of unprocessed, unfinished, unfelt emotions from that time. So it makes sense that this is coming up for me to deal with now, especially now since my body seems to like actually really be like fully coming out of fight or flight mode, like completely. Now that I'm getting like my adrenals back up and running, like getting out of adrenal fatigue, like getting out of that fight or flight mode has really like started to bring up a lot of these things from the time period of which I dissociated for me to now feel and move through and release. Okay. So this is not what the podcast episode was about. I think this is something that's happening at the beginning now where I'm just giving you like a weekly check-in of my life and things that I'm doing and maybe tips and tricks of other things. But I want to get into the actual podcast topic today, which is probably why you clicked on this, which is that a redirection is better than no direction at all or stagnation. So let's go ahead and like dive into it, shall we? So what does this mean? And what did I interpret from this thought that dropped in? So initially, I think that a lot of us struggle with clarity on our mission, me included. This is something that I am still working through of like, what the fuck do I want to do? What do I want to say? How do I want to present, right? Like, there's a lot of us struggling with like, what the fuck am I doing, right? Like, what is the path of my life? What's the purpose of my life? And it's like such an existential question too. Like one of the the most important things that we could figure out in life. And like that kind of puts a lot of stress on us too, to be like, oh my God, I can't figure out what I want to do with my life. Like I'm like worthless, or I'm just stupid, or like what's the point of me even being here? I can't even figure it out. Like I feel like I offer nothing, blah blah blah. Like, you know, these nasty ass stories that we tell ourselves about like the meaning of life and why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing. And I mean, yeah, like the end goal, I mean, there's multiple end goals, but one of the like big things in life is like, yeah, to figure out your purpose and to live it, right? Like I'd be lying if I said that it's not important, or it's not, you know, a big question that hangs over our head, or, you know, something that doesn't bring frustration or anxiety or stress into someone's life. Like that would be a big ass lie. Like, yeah, this is kind of important. Like everyone wants to feel like fulfilled, feel like they're adding value to not only their life, but the lives around us. And like, even if you're like, I hate everyone and like, I'm a loner and like, that's how I like to be, like deep down how humans are designed, like we are connected to one another. We are social beings. Like there is a deep human desire to connect and be of service to one another. And it's just the way that it is. So it makes sense if you're like in this boat of like, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to like add to this world? How do I want to feel of value, right? Like, and if you don't know the answer, that's totally fine. No rush on it. It's going to come to you when it's meant to come to you. Like there's some people that the big things in life that they signed up for don't start until like later, like 60 years old. Like it's never too late to start, and it's never too late for you to realize what your like mission and purpose and like what you want to give to the world is. Like it's never too late. So don't freak out or stress out about it if you don't know. Just know it will come. And I think the biggest issue that like causes people to feel misaligned in the first place, or like not being sure of what you're supposed to be doing here on earth right now, is just because like a lack of clarity, right? Like a lack of direction. And the only way that you're going to get more clarity on what it is that you want to do is by going through, experiencing things, feeling things, and like reviewing things, right? So like all of the things that we go through in our life, especially as kids, teens, young adults, like it's all for a purpose. Everything we go through is for something for us to learn, to experience, to gain confidence in, to gain clarity in, to learn what we want, what we don't want. Even our parents, like we chose our parents before we come here, and they are the perfect parents for you. Even if you like aren't in touch with your parents or you don't have a good relationship with them, there is a reason. There is something that they are teaching you that you either do or don't want to do in your own life, with others, with your own kids, with your own like chosen family, right? Like sometimes people have to play like the bad guy in our life for us to learn, right? We're not always going to learn things with hugs and kisses and rainbows and unicorns and all of the happy-go-lucky things and like wealth falling out of the sky and like having everything. Like you don't learn quite as much from the good as you do from the bad, because the bad leaves more of an impression, right? Like we can have 50 amazing things happen to us in one day, but if one person says like something really mean to us, that's going to be what we like hyperfixate on, right? Like we're going to keep thinking about that one bad thing that happened today as opposed to the 50 amazing things that happened. So when you tell yourself like, why do I have so much shitty things happening? You could just be like looking at the few shitty things compared to the like ton of good things, but also it could be that you are a highly advanced soul that is just coming here to learn, to like clear a lot of fucking karma, get a lot of shit done, and like get moving and grooving, right? Like you can play the, oh, woe is me, pity me, like I'm a victim mentality, which it's easy to get sucked into that, right? Because it's hard to take ownership of the things that you feel and experience and the way that you've reacted. And it's hard. And it's hard to accept that sometimes things are like out of your control, right? And you can't understand why someone may or may not act a certain way towards you. And Like, I get it. It's all very difficult. These are all things that I have worked through as well. Wow, I just like came out of a channel session there because now my mind is blank, and I love that. I don't know what I just said. I'm going to be honest. So that whatever was said was good. But what we go through gives us clarity. Okay. That's basically what I was getting at. What we go through gives us clarity, and the harder the things we go through is just like the bigger the lesson, right? The bigger the mission that we have on the other side, the more that we have to give the world, and the stronger of a soul, the more advanced of a soul we are, I think personally, especially when you are like conscious enough to be like, I have gone through some fucking shit. Okay. Like I've gone through some shit and I'm tired of going through shit. And to be like conscious enough of knowing that, like you're on the right track as it is. Okay. Like you're taking the right steps. You're in the right direction. You're taking the right motions, right? To just be like, I'm done repeating these patterns. I'm done experiencing the same things. How do I get out of this like circle? How do I get out of this rut? Well, it starts with like your perspective. Obviously, it starts with becoming aware of the things that you're doing, saying, feeling, thinking, the way that you treat yourself, you treat your body, you treat those around you, like just becoming aware of it, the first step. And then you can start to make changes. And, you know, all of this gives us clarity, right? And clarity makes it easier to know the direction that we're supposed to, quote unquote, supposed to be going in. And I think that the clarity, when we get it, it helps build the confidence because there's no guessing, right? When you become really clear on something, there's no more guessing. There's no more like, maybe this, maybe that. It's just like knowing, and like a deep, pure knowing of the gut, of the heart, like of the body as opposed to the mind, right? Like I know that I desire, and my mission in this human form is to help others. I know that. And I know that it's to help others raise their consciousness. I know it's not in a way of helping others like build homes or help others learn how to paint. Like, I know that's not my thing. I know for me, it's more of like a deep emotional, psychological assistance that I'm supposed to be doing. And granted, no, I'm not a psych. I don't have a psych degree. I don't have any degree at all, actually. But I know that this is my desire to help others. And I'm on this path right now of exploring, like, okay, I'm trying to get clarity on this more, right? Because the desire to help others emotionally, mentally, spiritually, like, that's great. I have that clarity. I know that for sure. But that's kind of like a big umbrella. There's a lot that I could be doing with that. So, like, I'm in this moment. I'm experiencing all of what I'm about to talk about right now. So this is coming from experience. I'm in this right now of where I'm like trying to find more clarity, that I am finding more clarity on exactly how I'm helping others. And I know that I really do well with helping people get out of funks. A, first recognizing that they are in a funk. B, starting to recognize what put them there. And then C, become aware of how to get themselves out of it, right? Like that, to me, is feeling really, really good and feeling really, really in alignment. And that's fulfilling to me. It excites me. And that's why I'm following it, and it's allowing me to grow. So this sounds a little bit different than how this podcast had started, right? I was saying a lot about like breaking through to the best and highest version of yourself. But now the more that I've been doing this, the more that I'm realizing it's like, yes, obviously you're breaking through to a new level of yourself, but I want to focus more on the fact that like, if you're stuck in a place that doesn't feel good, it's possible to get out, and here's how, right? Like that's to me my mission right now. I have clarity in my mission. And in doing so, I can start taking action on that. Like, how does this mission play out in my life? How do I do this? And what does this look like? So what is the vehicle in which I am presenting my mission? What does it look like? And the thing here is you're not necessarily going to figure exactly what it looks like on the first time you try something. In fact, you're probably not going to. Like the first time you tried to ride a bike, I bet it wasn't successful. The first time you tried to walk, I'm sure it wasn't successful. Like, when you're figuring this shit out, you can't expect the first time to strike gold. Like, maybe sometimes, yeah, it happens, but if you're like, well, I tried this one thing and that's it, and it didn't work, so that's not my mission. Like, if deep down you know, like, you have a wide umbrella of like, okay, I want to help people, great. Start there and then be like, okay, what does that look like? What feels good to me right now to do? Is helping people, being like a nurse, is helping people doing art therapy, is helping people building homes for them, is helping people repair their cars for them, right? Like, there's so many different avenues that you can assist other people if that's like what feels good for you. And the opportunity of like the things that the opportunities, the things that you're creating, that's going to help you get clarity on what exactly you want to do. And the first time that you try something, it's probably not going to work out in the long run. And that's totally fine, because what it's going to do is going to help you get clarity on what your mission is and how you want to present yourself. It's going to help you like narrow it down a little bit more, from going from that really broad of like, I want to help someone, to like, okay, how? Right? Like, is it emotionally? Is it mentally? Is it physically? Is it with tangible things that people own? Is it like, how? Right? And if you don't know yet, you have to like try some things out. You have to like play around. You have to like fuck around a little bit, right? You've got to kind of like figure it out, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. And the thing is too, is like, sometimes you'll start something that feels really, really, really fucking good and like really in alignment. And then maybe a couple months later, a year later, 2 years later, it's not in alignment anymore. That happened to me when I started Cosmic Crow Healing. Like, that was like full body yeses. Like, that was like, this is the direction. This is it. This is like what's gonna help me help the world, right? Like, I was like, this is it. And I think one of the biggest holes that we dig ourselves into is the fact that we tell ourselves that we can't like let something go. We can't let something die. We can't let something end, because we started it and it was a full body yes. It was a full alignment. It felt so right and so good. And like, I saw the vision. I felt it. I was like manifesting it. I was doing all of the things. I put in so much effort and work into this. Like, I can't let it go. And that we have this mindset of like, how I envisioned this is like how I want to present my mission. And this is how I want it to go. And sometimes we get like really stubborn about it and we get really stuck onto it. And I don't think that serves us at all, right? Because if something no longer is working, we have to let it go. Imagine if I never stopped Cosmic Crow Healing. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I would still be like trying to like force myself into a box that was too small for me now. Like, I am bigger than just in-person sessions. And if I never like accepted that and was like, I kind of have to like shift gears here, change my focus a little bit, like, I wouldn't be doing this podcast right now if I had just refused. And I know there's like a ton of us out there, and I'm not saying I did it immediately. I was refusing it. I refused it for months before I finally accepted that this didn't feel in alignment for me. And that's normal, right? Like, we want to hold on to things that are familiar. We want to stick with things that we know, because that's just the way that we are designed as humans, to stay with things that we know and understand, as opposed to like jumping into the unknown, experiencing something that we don't know anything about, because we can't protect ourselves, right? Like, this is the psyche telling us we can't protect ourselves if we don't know what it is, right? And, you know, we tell ourselves that, like, sometimes, I don't know if you do this, I've done it, and I know other people have done it as well, that like, when you do finally dive into something and you're like, oh, fuck it, I'm finally going to do it. It's like, it's all or nothing. Like, this is it. This is my one chance. This is my one break. This is like how many times do you hear that in like TV shows or like with people, like, this is my one chance to do this. Like, no, it's not. Like, it's your chance right now. This is the only opportunity you have at this exact moment in time. So you absolutely should take it. But if you hold on to it so tight that like you're like, I have to stick with this until the end of time because this is it, you're going to block so much more growth that you can get in, right? You're going to be blocking abundance from coming to you. You're going to be blocking clarity from coming to you. You're going to be blocking experiences that are going to help you become more and more refined, more and more confident in who you are, in your voice and what you do and how you present yourself. And letting go in this form of like, okay, this thing that I tried, I liked like these portions of it, but like a couple of these things I don't like. So I'm going to like check and adjust and focus more on the parts that feel really, really good. And where does that bring me? Like letting parts of things go isn't failing. Letting parts of things that you're not, you know, that you used to work on, letting it go, it's not giving up on yourself either. In fact, you're putting more attention and focus into things that are going to help you grow, as opposed to like watering a plant that's already dead. Right? It's giving the attention to the seedlings that are popping through the ground, as opposed to like watering a plant that is truly, fully dead. Right? And it's not giving up on yourself. It's not giving up on your dreams. It's simply just a redirection of your energy, which is limited. We are unlimited energy, but the amount of energy we have in the human form is limited. That's the perk of being human, is limitations. And part of that is having limited energy. So we have to be conscious and aware of what are we focusing on and what are we putting energy into, and making sure that what we are putting energy into is in alignment and is what feels good and is what inspires us and is what like gets us fucking excited and jazzed about. And like, if you're doing something and like, ask yourself, if someone random was to come up to you and ask you about this topic, would you be excited about it? Or would you be like, So like if someone was to come up to me and be like, hey, can you talk to me about like podcasting? Or can you talk to me about like dealing with anxiety? Can you talk to me about Reiki? Like, I would just start spitballing like crazy. I'd be so excited about it. I'd be like, okay, what do you know? What would you like to know? Like, if you're asking me about podcasting, like, do you want to get into it? Are you interested in more podcasts that are similar to mine? Like, what about it? Or like Reiki, have you done it before? What have you heard about it? What would you like to know? Like, I could just go in, and that stuff jazzes me up and it excites me. So that's how I know to keep going with that. But to talk about social media and marketing, that doesn't like jazz me at the moment. And that's why I've taken a step back from it, right? Because I was putting too much energy into that, and I was starting to feel really fucking pissed off and really fucking frustrated with myself, because I knew what I was putting out there didn't feel good. It didn't feel like me enough. And I was struggling to find my voice in that because I was drowning in overconsumption. And like, I had to take a step back from that, right? Like, if I told myself, no, I just started it, I have to keep going. Everyone says on social, you have to stay consistent and like blah, 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 do that. Then I wouldn't have taken the time to like step back and realize that there's a couple things I actually want to change first before I start pushing things. And actually, I should probably like really focus on building my website, for example, or building my offers or things that I can like give to people for free to help them, instead of being so focused on making a video and making sure that my text on my screen is perfect and my call to action makes sense. Like, right? Like, that didn't jazz me up. And maybe that shit jazzes you up. And if it does, please let me know, because your girl could use some help. But I had to like let that go. I had to take a step back and put my energy into the plants that were thriving, the areas of my life that felt good. And that was more of like, okay, focusing on the business and the offers and the conversations and the things like that, as opposed to social media. So, you know, sometimes checking and adjusting is the right thing to do. And, you know, there's that design in human nature that I had mentioned, that's staying with what's known and what's familiar, even if it's not working or it's uncomfortable. It's like our mind would rather stay there instead of venturing into something new that could be, and most likely is, better alignment for you. Because I could have stayed and been like, no, I know I'm pretty good at posting these things. I'm getting the hang of it. And like, this is what everyone says to do. So I'm just going to keep doing it, as opposed to like falling off of social for a little bit and diving into making a website and freebies, which I've never made freebies before. So that's new and scary, right? But I did it because I want to be in better alignment for myself. And I was aware that feeling frustrated is my like red flag as in my human design that I am misaligned. Simple as that. Frustration equals misalignment. Because here's the thing. We are constantly evolving and changing and growing. And to think that the way in which we present ourselves to the world is going to remain the same, that's just insanity. Like, to think that you are never going to change your viewpoints, you're never going to change the way you like express yourself, the way that you want to express yourself. To think that that's never going to change when you are doing self-healing work is just fucking crazy, okay? So it's gonna happen. And we have to just accept the fact that like when we are changing internally to live a life that is more fulfilling, the way that we express it externally is most likely going to change as well. It's like saying that you're only going to wear baby clothes for the rest of your life. Like, no. You outgrow them and you have to put on new, bigger clothes and you have to shed the old and replace with something new. And very similarly, if you don't let go of things that are no longer serving you, the universe, your higher self, source, you, the higher, bigger you, is going to push you out of that situation. You're going to get very uncomfortable. You're going to be very upset, very frustrated, very anxious. Like, it's not going to feel good. You're going to get to a point where like something gives, right? It's like putting your feet into shoes that are too small and it hurts you like a lot. Like, life will do that. So if you feel like you are in a shoe that is too small, look around and be like, where am I playing small? What am I refusing to let go of that is no longer serving me, that I could be stepping into something bigger, right? So if you're asking yourself, why isn't this working? Why am I so frustrated? Why is this not working out? Why am I getting rejected on this? Check in with yourself, like deep within yourself. Check in with your body. What are you feeling? Are you feeling aligned? Are you feeling inspired? Are you feeling joy? If you're not feeling any of that, what about the situation isn't doing it for you? What about what you're doing isn't inspiring, right? And what would feel good for you? What would bring you joy? What would make you feel more aligned? And then you've just got to like accept where you're at. You've got to accept that it's time to adjust. It's like the example that I had said in the last episode when Jordan and I were looking to move to North Carolina. There came a time period where we started getting really uncomfortable, right? And we had to adjust. We had to accept, this isn't working out right now. And it wasn't like we're never going to move there ever. It was just like right now doesn't make sense. So we put it on hold. We adjusted, right? We didn't want to keep putting our energy into something that was making us feel like shit. Same thing with Cosmic Crow healing. After a while, it started to not feel like really inspiring, and I started to feel kind of disconnected from it. I had to shift, and I had to realize that I didn't want to do in-person sessions as much as I wanted to do things online, that I wanted to reach a broader audience that way, that I wanted to do an online coaching, right? Like, and the thing that I just did recently, taking a break on Instagram. Like, all of these things are just small checks and adjusts, and you can check and adjust and it not be like a massive change to your life either, right? Like, it can be small, simple things where it's like, this no longer feels that good and I'm just not going to put energy into it right now, right? It doesn't mean that you have to give up on it forever. It just means like, that's not in alignment for me at the moment. So I'm going to focus on what is, because very likely what'll happen is you'll put energy into something that does feel good. You're going to get clarity on the thing that didn't feel good, and you'll be able to go back to it and then be able to start moving forward. It's as simple as that. Taking time to redirect your efforts it's going to get you farther than trying to make something work that isn't meant to be anymore. It's like trying to force a size 10 foot into a size 3 shoe. Like, listen, you've outgrown the size 3 shoe. Let it go. There's bigger, better, more beautiful, more comfy shoes waiting for you, okay? In size 10. Redirection is going to move you faster than staying on the same course. It's going to move you a hell of a lot faster than taking no action at all. Right? It's going to move you a hell of a lot faster than just giving up, giving in, throwing the towel in. Redirection is going to give you that clarity. And again, like I said earlier, clarity is what's going to help keep that momentum going for you. Clarity is what's going to give you the confidence to keep going. Clarity is what's going to give you the inspiration to keep going. So we just want to keep getting more and more clear on our missions, on our message, on the way that we are helping one another, in the way that we're living our life. So if you're feeling stuck, like you're banging your head against the wall, everything you're trying isn't working, shit just isn't clicking, it feels off, like, hello, listen to that. This is your body being like, hey, over here, let's try a different way, okay? Like, this isn't working. Like, I promise you'll get to where you want to go faster. Just try a different route for a little bit. The end result is going to be the same. You're not changing your destination. It's like, imagine you're taking your usual trip home from work and you're driving, and then all of a sudden there's a detour. And come to find out that this detour that you were initially very annoyed about because you're like, oh my God, this is going to take me out of the way and not get me to where I want to go. I want to get home quicker than later. And then all of a sudden you realize that this detour is actually a shortcut. And now you get home even faster now because of this detour that now showed you that there was a side road that was a lot quicker and cut out like 3 lights, right? Like, this is what I'm saying about redirection, is that you're going to realize that there's shortcuts that you had no idea existed. Just when you allow things to go and be like, okay, this isn't working out. Let's find something else that is. Because the more that you just stay in the flow and in alignment, shit is going to flow to you. I promise. That is like the promise of the universe. You stay in alignment with yourself, with your true soul, your true essence. How can it not flow to you, right? Redirection, it's not a failure. Stagnation or refusal, that's going to slow you down a hell of a lot more than just like pausing for a moment and choosing a different route or focusing on something different for a little bit. And I'm not saying you're giving up on it forever. Like, I'm not giving up on social media forever. I'm taking a break from it because it was not giving back to me the energy that I was putting into it, right? It wasn't conducive. I think that's the word I wanted to use to begin with, but I didn't. It's not conducive, conductive, whatever. It's not working for your girl. So, I redirected my energy. I do this plenty. I'm speaking from experience here, that redirection is not failure, and redirection is going to help you feel better and continue moving and get away from procrastination and stagnation. And I'm not saying that, it's easy to let things go in the moment. It's not. I fought for months on things. We're human, right? It's in our human design to want to stay with things that are familiar. But being really aware is going to help you by just checking in and being like, you know what? I don't want to feel like this anymore. That's going to help you. And I get it. I really do. I really get it because I'm going through it. It's hard to let things go sometimes, especially when you've burned it like into your mind that like, this is the way it's going to go and it's going to be great. And I felt it and I envisioned it and I put it on my vision board and I meditated on it and I'm manifesting the shit out of it. And then for you, a couple months, a year, 2 years, whatever down the road, you're like, this doesn't feel in alignment anymore. It's hard to let go of something that you put so much effort into, but you're not letting go of it, of like, that end result's not going to be there. It's just you're letting go of the expectation of what it's going to look like. And when you let go of expectations, that's when the universe can really provide you with what you're asking for. Like, what's more important to you? Living a life that's fulfilling or living out a plan that you made? To me, one sounds a lot more fun than the other. It's like making plans on vacation versus just going on vacation and letting it unfold in front of you. We made plans, Jordan and I, on a vacation once, and we are never going to do that again. It made vacation not fun, right? We were stressed about missing this thing with this person, or not getting here in time, or not going to be able to do all of the things that we planned, right? Like, it wasn't fun. And that's why we never plan anything when we go on vacations. We plan where we're going to stay, we plan how long we're going, and that's about it. And maybe like 1 to 2 things, but we don't plan like a full day. And that's kind of what I'm saying is like, let go of the plan. Let go of the plan that you think is what's going to work, because if that plan no longer feels good, I'm telling you, that means you're getting a sign that this plan is no longer the plan. We're changing the plan. The goal is still the same. We're changing the plan. I think that is all that I have today on this. And I know maybe it wasn't like a lot, but I think it's potent. And if you have enjoyed this episode, as always, leave me a rating. Give me 5 stars or however many stars you want. Leave a comment. I'd love to know what you're thinking. And of course, share this podcast with someone you love, and let's make the world a better place, one podcast play at a time. And as always, in case no one has told you this today, I am super proud of you. You're doing an amazing job. Keep kicking ass, okay? And I love you, I love you, I love you. And I'll see you in the next one.